Hi, I'm Nancy Postero. I'm an anthropologist at UC San Diego, and I invite you to join me for an exciting global seminar entitled Indigenous Health in Ecuador. This seminar will be a wonderful opportunity to see three different parts of Ecuador: Quito, the capital city; Otavalo, a Highland indigenous market town; and Puyo, an Amazonian community. The program will compare urban Western medicine with rural and indigenous practices to understand what we can learn from different ways of healing. I will be teaching two courses: ANSC 135, Indigenous Peoples of Latin America, which will explore the cultures, histories, and political struggles of Native peoples, and ANSC 106, Indigenous Medicines in Latin America, which will focus on indigenous forms of healing. The two classes will work together to establish the political and social context for indigenous life and to describe the challenges indigenous communities face: poverty, racism, and natural resource extraction on their lands. They will also ground students in debates about global health and alternative forms of healing. I have been conducting research with indigenous people in Latin America as a human rights lawyer, a journalist, and an anthropologist since the 1990s, and I'm very excited to explore the complexities of indigenous healthscapes in Ecuador with you. About 25% of Ecuador's population identifies as indigenous. Ecuador's indigenous organizations have been among the most active members of civil society over the last few decades, making claims on the state to recognize their lands and traditional ways of life. They are particularly active defending the environment against petroleum exploitation and mining, and have recently won important court cases upholding their rights. Ecuador is an exciting place to study indigenous medicine because there are so many new initiatives to combine their traditional health practices with Western biomedical practices. These are particularly important given the continuing inequities in health and education standards, which continue to place indigenous peoples in the bottom percentiles. We will start our seminar in Quito, the country's capital, nestled up against the Andes Mountains. Its historic section, with one of the most beautiful cathedrals in the continent, gives us an opportunity to study not only the colonial period, but its continuing legacies. But Quito is not a sleepy colonial capital anymore. Because of its booming oil and gas exports, it's now a bustling modern city with skyscrapers and a cosmopolitan restaurant scene. We will have time to visit some of the sites, like the Mitad del Mundo Park right on the Ecuador, and the beautiful Capilla del Hobre, the chapel built by Ecuador's most famous artist, Oswaldo Guayasamin. While in Quito, students will be placed as volunteers in various healthcare settings. There are a number of options: a government hospital shadowing a gynecological doctor who uses cutting-edge therapies, a community clinic in a poor neighborhood struggling to meet the needs of refugees from Venezuela, a new clinic for the growing population of diabetics, and a treatment center for disabled children. From Quito, students have the opportunity to visit a wide variety of places on the weekends. Ecuador is such a small country that you can get almost anywhere in a few hours. There's the gorgeous Cotopaxi volcano in the Highlands and the surrounding lakes and valleys. A popular recreational site is Baños, where visitors can enjoy adventures, hikes, and hot springs. A great weekend trip is to Cuenca, a lovely colonial city. The famous Inca ruins of Ingapirca Inca are right nearby. From Quito, we will go to Otavalo for a week. Otavalo is known for its beautiful landscapes, but also for the textiles its indigenous population make and sell all over the world. Many say the market is the best in Latin America. We are going to visit the very successful Intercultural Healing Center, Jambi Huasi Clinic. Students will have the chance to learn from the clinic's Western trained doctors, like this Otavalo doctor who runs the family planning clinic, but also from healers who practice traditional or ancestral healing. Then, at the government hospital nearby, we will meet an indigenous partera, or midwife, who offers traditional style birthing practices. We will meet the indigenous mayor of Otavalo, as well as local indigenous youth. On the weekends, students can visit some of the many beautiful natural sites around Otavalo. The final week will be in a Shuar indigenous community in the Amazon region. Most of the country's oil wells are on lands claimed by Amazonian indigenous people, lands now regularly contaminated by oil spills. We will talk to local indigenous leaders about their efforts to protect their lands, the local fauna, and their livelihoods. We will visit clinics that treat the resulting respiratory and skin diseases in the region, as well as a botanical garden where traditional medicinal plants are protected. After the class, students might also want to take advantage of being in Ecuador to visit the Galapagos Islands, one of the most fascinating natural wonders in the world. I hope you can come with me to Ecuador.